because I don't know, the early Donell Jones production sound, it sounded like, you've just confirmed it for me actually, because it felt like Donell Jones was a protege of Dave Jam Hall. Would that be a fair statement?
I don't know if I would say protege, but I did give him a lot of insight. He was in my studio. I gave him, a lot of insight on the drum sounds and how you put stuff together. But Donnell, in his own right, is a talented guy.
Oh, he's a genius.
He's a genius to me, so I'm not going to sit there and take the light that I showed him how to be Donnell Jones, but I did think I helped him in an instrumental time in his development as an artist and a producer.
Okay.
In some of the first album, I did hear some of the drum sounds that I gave him.
Fair enough. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I thought that, because some of the production was very reminiscent of you.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff, the keyboards he used at the time, was stuff he seen that I had.
Okay.
From being in my studio with me, and he did help me do some background arrangements on Madonna's record. So we was together. He actually stayed in my house for almost a year.
Wow.
So and then next thing I know, we was doing a Madonna project. We was mixing it, and he went out to get something to eat and came back with a signed contract for 8 years.
Sure. I mean,
but it's a good thing. We still friends. He lives about 40 minutes from where I live, and we're still cool.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get to see him. He performed out here as a support act for Jodecidal a couple of months back, and he did the biz. He's got it going on.
Donald's great. He's a nice, humble guy.
Yeah.
He's not caught up with his success, and he's a nice guy. And I wish him all the best.
Yeah.
I did in the beginning. I helped him out a lot, I would say. I think that's a fair assessment.
Fair enough. Are you still in touch with the Untouchables crew? For people that are unaware, the Untouchables were responsible for some of the biggest R&B hits of all time. They've worked with En Vogue, Mary J. Blige, TLC, anybody you can think of in R&B land, they have done stuff with. Dave, you were a big part of that crew. Are you still in touch with any of them?
I talked to Eddie F. from time to time. I spoke to him about 2 weeks ago. We had a 2-3 hour conversation. We talked about doing the possibility of doing some collaborations in the future. I speak to Novell from time to time, Novell Hodge.
Okay.
And Kenny Smooth, we talk almost every other day.
Wow.
All the time, he has an independent artist that we trying to help each other, do what we got to do. So we talk. But those are the three that I talk to from time to time. Me and Kenny, we talk a lot. Me and Eddie have talked, about once every 4 months. And me and Novell talk, from time to time. So I stay in contact with them.
What about Piano Man?
I haven't seen Darren in a minute. I know he's in New York, but he's doing a lot of gospel stuff now.
Okay, sure thing. Moving along, your work with Kenny Green was amazing. Sad loss to the world. I think his lyrics and your production were the ethos of the foundations for hip hop soul and what the music became. Which writers would you like to work with today?
I like Neo.
Yeah.
I think his lyrical content is great. I never had a chance to, but I still would like to write with Babyface. I think he's great. I never had the opportunity to do that, and I would love to do that. Who else is a great writer that I want to work with in now? That's about it. Because a lot of artists don't write their songs anymore. So I like Neo. I like Babyface's stuff. And I like the guy that wrote the stuff from Usher's last album.
Bobby Rossavere?
No, I think his name is Sean Garrett.
Sean Garrett from Player?
Yeah.
No, okay. All right. What was the first track you ever did?
That got placed?
The one that you had released. Was that the one you mentioned earlier, Brand Nubian?
That was Brand Nubian, a song called Trying to Do Me.
First track ever, okay. All right. How would you describe the term New Jack Swing? What does it mean to you?
New Jack Swing to me means a musical style that came out of the late 80s that kind of was the new cutting edge, fairly young producers that were doing it. Had a lot of instrumentation, a lot of drum programming. If it was, and big harmonies on the hooks, and great lyric and great melodies, and songs that you remember 10 years later. And that's what I was define New Jack Swing. It came from a lot of young people that had their roots was in hip hop.
Yeah.
A lot of my influence was because I used to be a DJ, and I knew about break beats and stuff that was the foundation of hip hop, and a lot of that I took and we incorporated into New Jack Swing, which was the problem was a lot of the established producers, if they didn't come out of that environment of hip hop, they didn't know how to make those beats because they wasn't familiar with the beats.
Okay.
And the beats were based on hip hop records.
Okay, and what about hip hop soul? What does that mean by definition to you?
Hip hop soul is music that has a real that has hip hop elements in the musicality of it, but has a great melody and a song that means something that touch you. That's not just the typical "I love you, baby, let's go home." It's gotta have a song that's the lyrical content has to be deeper than that.
Yeah. Now, which artist would you say is your favorite artist that you've ever worked with?
My favorite, that's a hard one.
You've worked with so many of them, mate. You know, it's like you've got a bit of a choice there.
Well, no, I would say my favorite artist as an artist that I ever worked with, that it was just a pleasant environment in the studio where it was more like fun. I'd have to say Kenny Green.
Ah, fantastic. Beautiful. The stuff you created with him, I mean, Let Me Be the One. I mean, the creation of that song, for me, that is like one of my favorite songs of all time. You did Why Don't You Love Me? On their second album, you'd done Funny How Time Flies and stuff, but those two tracks off that first album just killed me.
Yeah, working with Kenny was great. You know, it wasn't like some artists. It's like a job in the studio. But Kenny, when somebody's that talented as Kenny, it was just we could try all kind of different directions, and it would just be easy. You know, and we built off each other's input and creativity. You know, he would suggest something, I would suggest something, and it was just easy. What I would do with Kenny was like I would make the track, and I would just play it, and tell him to go on the mic and tell him to just freestyle for 5-6 minutes, and then we developed the song from that.
Did you record any of that stuff?
We actually record all of that. I just play at that and just let him play with the mic and try different ideas. Sometimes I tell him, try the octave higher. Once you try this lick, and then that's how we develop Funny How Time Flies. How we develop Let Me Be the One. We did that in the living room, just playing the track over and over, and we just going through hook ideas. It took us like 2 hours to find.
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
We did that. It was me, him, and the rest of the intro, and Eddie F was in the room, and we just kept going through ideas until we figured out this is the hook. That's the hit right there.
Yeah, but don't sell yourself short, man. The fact that you'd done that in 2 hours, that says a little about you too, man.
Yeah, it was great. 'Cause I definitely, when Kenny wrote the song, Let Me Be the One was his bridge, and I said, no, that's not a bridge, that's the hook. So we switched it around,